Today, I'll be visiting a museum that I've wanted to visit for literally years. The HARS Aviation Museum in Wollongong. It is one of Australia's biggest and best aviation museums. There's a wide range of exhibits, and yeah, you'll see a good deal of them in this video. The main exhibit at the museum is, of course, their record-breaking Boeing 747-400 Victor Hotel OJA. I'll be visiting that shortly. First up, we had the wing walk experience. It was truly amazing. It's unlike anything else. I only got the one video, but it is insane. Essentially, you're harnessed in, you go out on the wing, it's a 16 or so meter walk, and you get a full sort of technical rundown of the aircraft. It's just truly an amazing experience, and one that cannot be missed if you're visiting. Next up was the comprehensive 747 cockpit tour, which was, again, amazing. Our guide was former Qantas 747 and A380 pilot David, who had flown VHOJ specifically 45 times. It went for a little over an hour, and by the end of it, I understood a lot more about how 747s flew. When the computers turned on, it was like the aircraft was coming back to life, and all of it was really fun and enjoyable, even though I did destroy a $7 million engine during the simulated engine startup.
View 4,400 feet. Scattered 5,700 feet. Broken 7,700 feet. Temperature 24. Dew point 14. QNH.
VHOJA is truly a record-breaking aircraft, having flown both the longest airline flight ever, an unbroken record, and the shortest 747 flight, which lasted for all of 11 minutes. Then it was time for a quick lunch at Cafe Connie with its jet engine-shaped door. The staff were great, there were planes painted on the tables, everyone understood dietary requirements, which is great because I'm lactose intolerant. Friendly staff, 10 out of 10. We then commenced our tour. Here's an AH-1. This building here had an interesting display about the Charlie Brown and Frank Stigler incident. Yeah. This Fokker F-27 Friendship in TAA livery never actually flew for TAA, but it was all white when HARS got it, so they painted it in that to make it look better. And it really does. It looks great. Here's a little tiger moth. HARS has 3 Soviet MiGs. This tandem MiG-15 sits just across from its mortal enemy. And that mortal enemy is the Sabre. The interesting camouflage on this MiG-17 dates from the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. Here's a CAC Wingiel. I believe this aircraft is still airworthy. This MiG-21 is painted in the livery of the Indian Air Force. This unassuming DC-3 has quite a history. It saw service in World War II before being converted to an airliner after it was retired. It was statically displayed above the car park at Melbourne Airport for multiple years, and then it was restored to airworthy condition, and it still flies today. Here's another airworthy DC-3, Caribou. and a Canberra. This Caribou was the last RAF aircraft to fly out of Vietnam, which it did in 1972. This replica of Kingsford Smith's Southern Cross recently flew again after a crash in 2002. It has been extensively rebuilt and restored to flying condition. Here's a Boeing Stearman. This twin Pioneer was leaking a little bit of oil, and the HARS staff had found quite a creative way to deal with it. Here's a C-47. Catalina over there. Here's the fuselage of a DC-2. They're still restoring that one. This aircraft is known locally as the Queen's aircraft because Queen Elizabeth II flew on it during her, I believe, 1954 tour of Australia. And now, the much beloved F-111. Here's a P-2 Neptune. This Catalina Victor Hotel ASA, known as the Frigate Bird 2, flew the first ever South Pacific air crossing from Australia to South America in 1951. It did belong to the Powerhouse Museum and still does, but they've loaned it to HARS while they sort of re-museum, I guess. Here's a Mirage, and another view of the Neptune. It's the only aircraft, or it's one of the only aircraft, to have both props and jets. David said only one other aircraft had been built with them. He didn't specify which, and I can't remember off the top of my head, so you'll have to guess. Here's a Grumman S2 Tracker. I believe this L-39 doesn't actually belong to HARS, but I think it's used for joy flights and hang it here. This is one of the engines off John Travolta's Boeing 707. The rest of the aircraft is still stored in the US, but is expected to come home to Australia soonish. Not to worry, because HARS still has the front bit of another 707, which they're actively working to restore, and they're doing a really good job. So here's the 707 cockpit. Compare that with the digital cockpit of the 747-400. And now for HARS's famous Lockheed Constellation, known as Connie. Originally built for the US Air Force, it was in such a state of disrepair that even the scrappers didn't want it. Since then, HARS has done a magnificent job restoring it to flying condition. And it does fly. Frequently.
Radial engines consume an enormous amount of oil.
Let's get on board. Overall, HARS was far and away the best aviation museum I've ever been to. Blew anything else out of the water. It was spectacular. The 747 cockpit tour was insane. The wing walk was insane. Being able to get up close to all these rare aircraft, including the Constellation, was insane. Going inside the Queen's aircraft was amazing. It was perfect. It's just everything about it is perfect. There's nothing it lacks. Everyone was kind, guides were knowledgeable, beautiful natural setting. It was just amazing. 11 out of 10. If you're in the area and have the opportunity to go, or if you're thinking about going, do not hesitate. Book your tickets, go now. I should add, I'm not affiliated with HARS, I just really, really enjoyed their museum. Thank you.